for some people, they can tell you verbally the time, the date, the month that they receive the Holy Ghost. Was it the same for you?
I won't be able to tell the date now or anything because I'm not good with memories, one. Then I wasn't good with record keeping at such time. But I can tell you I had an experience.
Around what age, if not?
That was before 17. But now in the message. You understand? Now the experience was simple. I felt this deep hunger as usual. Because I was always thinking that, look, there's a depth beyond this. There's an height beyond this. It may look maybe abstract or superficial to some of you, but this is just the experience in my life. This is just the experience in my life. So I said, so it spurred me one day to have a real seclusion just waiting on God. Lord, satisfy the hunger in my heart. I was praying, I was fasting, just waiting upon the Lord and fellowship. Those times fasting was just natural to me. Because I've been told that some things don't come without fasting and prayer. And I don't know whether it's a propelling of the gift or just the desire, that hunger to climb as a Christian. So this particular day, I had a sweet feeling that I've never had in my life. It came like a streak upon me. And all the place where I was on that day was, oh my, everything turned different. I was like having the tons of the power I could pull down everywhere. So I began to share with my dad. I said, this is what. And I just kept, for the next 1 month, that's the only testimony, that's the only thing I could talk about. And the prophet said, son, and my dad said, son, you've encountered God. So I'll give you the time and watch your life. If you keep this temple of grace, then I can say my son is converted. I said, what does that mean? Baptize with the Holy Spirit. I said, really? This is how easy it will come. By the grace of God, I haven't looked back since then. Yeah, I've had multiples of such experiences, but that was when it began. Just right around 17.
During the period of waiting.
During the period, yeah, right around that time. I was preparing, if I remember very well, I was either preparing for my WAEC or I've just finished my WAEC. Right around that time. I wasn't having a regular young boy's life again because of my enthusiasm for the spoken word now in the Bible. So I got around preachers at that time and I became a favorite to them because when we are around, I just want to ask a question about the message. We just want to talk about those things. And our coming to the message also presented a turbulence. You will see the background while I have to be so close to the message. I came into the message, we came into the message around the time that the issue of revealed and non-revealed was really hard with violence fighting. I will say that for generations coming. Yes, I will say that for the generations coming. I can say we were born out of due season. We are coming from an environment that looks formal, decent, courteous, well-cultured Christian approach. That's what baptism was all about. I don't know what baptism is now, but then the courtesy is so grand. Then I came into an environment where people could attack one another, even in service. Brethren, as small as I was, I've seen things that will have made me question the message. Is this what did we find ourselves in? Bunch of rascality, bunch of. This is 38 years by the grace of God. In the message, bunch of all these things. Because we're in an environment where people can be bundled, carried physically, and thrown out of the church. I wasn't told, I saw it. Pulpits were removed while some people were preaching. I saw it. I wasn't told. You guys came and when God has blessed, matured these people. So you can imagine somebody coming from a well-refined environment and coming into this kind of a thing. But what my dad kept telling me is, yes, the message is right. It will remind me that the Bible says some people can hold the truth in unrighteousness. Generally, we've not gotten to the right kind of people. But there's nothing wrong with the message. Let's not look at them. You know, it came to a point that I loathed, if there's a grammar like that, or I got bored of going to combined meetings. Because when we're in the combined meetings, it's all drama. The kind of sermons you hear can never bring you to any edification. You will leave service hating or developing complex against certain people, certain pastors, certain ministers. I mean, they will mention names, they mention what they believe is their problem. You imagine somebody say, and your Pope, Pastor, I don't want to mention them, says fornication is his infirmity. And he will get a girl. They were so vulgar, graphic on the pulpit. And they'll be describing the intimacy of men and women. Say, we saw him doing this. And that's preaching for us at those times.
Still at that young age.
Yes, 14 to 17.
Wow.
So those things were, I had to tell my father one day, I said, you may go for the combined. You are the pastor. You can be fine with whatever you say there. But I don't want this any longer. I will stay home. I'm comfortable with our local service. That's fine. I'm talking of an environment where a preacher is preaching and the same people who seems to be in the other camp come in and say the environment is not polluted and contaminated. Demons are infiltrating. I've had prayers. As those people are going, let their vehicle be tumbling, capsizing.
Wow.
Things like that happened. I wasn't told. So for me, for us as new as we are to survive that and still embrace the message, I think it's election.
That's right.
The good side of it was that when my father said, yet the message is still true, the good side was that we shifted attention from people. I wanted to understand what the message really says. I wanted to understand why the contention is so much. I mean, we went to a Jebo camp one day for what promises to be a real soul refreshing, mighty believers convention. It ended up with a lot of questions and downcast feelings in my heart because of the way people of the other side were attacked. And it was at that meeting I told my good friend, Brother Sunday Edeko, I said, my senior cousin who lives in the United States now, Brother Felix Awolola. I said, look, when we get back home, it's high time we learned what these things are all about. Because this side is saying this side is saying that. We don't have a position. And I said in the service, they will tell us, you that you are dancing this way and still dancing this way, stop playing hypocrisy. They're talking about us, we don't know what to do because we embrace everybody who said they are message believers. So I said, we must have a stance. Let's go study these things. So when myself and Brother Sunday got back home, we got a brother who is older and stronger than us to help us build a tent in the forest where Third Mainland Bridge is now.
Wow. Where
you are seeing Third Mainland Bridge is actually a streak of ponds that pours into the lagoon, but with a lot of forest. They call it coal farm.
Wow.
So we said, build us some tents there. We want to use it to study. So this was around 17 now. After I've had that encounter, I said, I will tell my parents, what do you want me to do for you? Because I want to go to my shed in the forest. So I will quickly run the errands. Me and him will carry our spoken word books on our Bible. From about midday till late evening, we're studying and comparing notes. He will see something, he will run to my side. I will see something, I will run to his side. And God was using that to help us to come to the understanding. God revealed himself to us by himself to come to some understanding, which eventually also helped the environment where we are. I started feeling that God may have something for me to do thereafter. But I kept my low profile. I was song leading I was interpreting in local language. I was so satisfied with that. Bro Sunday came into the ministry, I was so glad to be his interpreter and to be supporting him. Until I went to the Polytechnic. And it was there, the pastor there, that is the old man today, Brother Njuko, is still around. He was to travel on the program because he still works. He was a rector, vice rector. So he's to go on the program. Then it was one who to live to the church with. We had minister and other, but there seemed to be some issues. So he just said, you will help me. I said, why me? I don't. He said, no, it's written all over you. He said, because I didn't talk does not mean I can't see.
Wow.
So I didn't know. I would just, he left, I would just do the best I can, you know. I didn't know whether if you're not called, you shouldn't be behind the pulpit then, or if your call is not with them, you know. And by the time he came back, people said, let that brother continue. And he's such a nice person. He came and said, you see, they wanted you and not me again. So he got in touch with my dad. He said, study that guy. God has blessed him with something. But even then I was still refraining. Since age 17 I felt this, but I was refraining until that age 19, where I preached for the first time from Ilaro. Then 20 years, they started trying me at home.
Wow.
That was it.
Interesting. Why? I think I mentioned it, but let's just refrain it. We can throw more light on it. No, that's the question. Some of us growing up, we always have this mentor, someone we look up to, someone we can speak to, someone that we can say, for instance, there are so many brothers. I see brother study, preaches with them. Can I just do this? I'm not going to do that. So we are going to that. Did you really, apart from your mom, I think you already mentioned your mom being a great mentor to you. Do you have another mentor, someone that you look up to, someone that you can easily speak to in your ministry?
Okay, I will not say I have them officially like that, but I have people in whose life then I admire certain quality. Like my dad, I've hardly seen my dad beating any of the children. Yes. It will run an extreme for him to pick his skin. He will tell us, I believe in the power of the word. And he will tell us, if I engage you with the word and you listen, we'll be friends. For some reasons, I just like that approach. My dad, in all my recollection, maybe never beat me up to 2 or 3 times. In fact, as we sit here, and as I've recollected many times, I could only remember once. That day, this my elderly cousin, we have about 5 years apart, that's Brother Felix in the United, still a believer. He came home not too long ago with the wife.
Yes.
And he used to be our song leader. All of us, we grew up together. He was raised in my house, so I grew up to know him as my elder brother. I didn't know what issue we had. I just felt like I will deal with this. I brought a knife, and they've never seen me that angry in my life. So that was the only time my dad beat me. I know he went very far. And I kept wondering if I actually did that. Then after the beating, he felt sorry. And he had to beat me. Then later he called me, he said, that thing you exhibited, you have never ever shown it ever in your life. And nobody has ever shown that, even within the family ranks. So something worked you up to a level to do that. What was it? I couldn't answer anything. Then he said, Dele, you bottle up things too much. If people do something to you, don't bottle it. Express it so that you have a release. He said, if you bottle it, a minor thing will trigger you, and this was why you misbehaved. And they know if they want to catch me, when they talk to me, I will weep like you know what I mean.
Wow.
So from then he called me back. He said, "It's a sign that you are not yet converted. You need the Holy Ghost." So all those things really helped me, and then it brought me to that experience that we're talking about. So his approach will make me call him a mentor of some sort.
Right.
In 1988, I attended for the first time a convention of those who were said to be revealed in Ibadan. Because when we came into the message, we now came to discover later that the people who were handling us, trying to bring us up, were those called not revealed. So God helped us in 87 by the attitude we saw in Ajebo to go and study these things, and we're inclined to realizing that the mysteries of God are open for those who can see. So from there, I started looking for new company. Let me even go and see what's going on among these revealed people, so to say, and see what's going on there. Then, that particular convention in Ibadan resonated with me because I really suffered. It wasn't a cheap thing for me to get there. I got there, I thought with the address I thought I had. For a whole day till the next day, I was looking for the convention ground. I had to sleep in a place I do not know, at More Plantation. A young lady called Joy Ofem, I still remember her name till today, who was the manager, who was the daughter of the manager of More Plantation at that time, just met me after I've done all I could. I didn't know where else to go. So I requested the gatemen at the More Plantation gate to allow me to sleep at the gate post. And they said, well, they searched all my bag. They said, this is a Christian boy. It means no harm. He's just mixing up his address. I was searching for about 24 hours. I couldn't get the location. So she now came in at that night. I was just sitting by them there. She now came in, greeted. And she greeted me also. And said, and asked who am I? I have not seen, is that our new part of the new security team? They said no. So they told her my story. She felt more. She said, no, a nice looking guy like you can't sleep here. I said, but these are human beings sleeping here. I said, I'm happy. He said, no, come with me. I was scared. You don't know me, but where am I to go with you? And with my horrible history with girls, I said, no. Then the security guy said, you have to go with, that's the daughter of the boss of this whole place. What if they say you should go? I said, okay. Then I went with her to the house. She called the dad and mom. He said, we have somebody who is stranded and I want her to stay with us till the next day. They live in a duplex, big house, official house within the company. And the dad said, hey, Joy, you've come with this, you're nice manners. Do you know this young man? He said, I don't know him, but must we know people before we do good to them? I said, okay, suit yourself. And she seemed to be a darling of the family. Suit yourself. And quickly, they went to prepare a room for me and everything. I had a good sleep. The next day, and from there, me and Joy became friends. Joy Offer, we became good friends. But you see, she wasn't inclined to the message, she was inclined to something else. So eventually I had to severe withdraw at a point. But we became friends, good friends for a while. But that next day, because when I was ready to give up to go, God showed me the place. And I came into the program.
Sorry, because you said God showed you the place.
God showed me the place.
Was it
because
a dream or vision?
No, it wasn't a dream. It was just ordinary. I just now got to the bus stop to get a vehicle back to Lagos. Then I was just with the people around, the passengers, before they told us to board. I was just sharing my experience. No one said, no, you've been going to the wrong place. Don't you look at this? This is Jericho. Yeah, all the areas we went with, but Forest Reserve. Not that the people who guided you didn't guide you right. That this is. I said, can you? He said, maybe I can even take you to the place. That was how we drove from going to Lagos. Let me do one more try. And behold, It was a convention. You know, you start seeing our things. I didn't know anybody, but I started saying, I said, my goodness. I appreciate the person. That was how I said, God showed me the place. And I came in at the time a brother was preaching. It's gone on to be with the Lord now, Brother David Etta.
Oh,
Wow.
And I saw the way he was teaching. I think he was speaking on something like future home. I sat there, said,
Wow.
Then I said, I got to be friends with this man. Somehow, in the providence of God. Then there was another brother, that's a brother Latokumodu. No, he's also I saw the way he also brought. They looked like the two arrowheads of the world at that time, each covering their section. Other people also preached. I said, this is the kind of the way message should be. But these two brethren were very remarkable. Then I attended another time, and this other brother, Femi Adeyemi in Lokoja, also, the way he brought, he taught something on fornication, adultery, marriage, and I was like, these are people. So I said, okay. You know, over time, others also came along, who maybe for time I couldn't mention. But I kept tapping. One of the younger preachers there was Pastor Simon Oladejo. The way we throw the thing like, chopping there. I said, hey. Man, I seem to be among the angels now. And you know, this Pastor Martins are doing this fatherly disposition will just come around everything now. So this is something my heart was going for. So later, I went back to school, and Bro Etta came to visit us. Then we met at a close range, and from there, I and him became some sort of friends, sharing only nothing but the message. You understand? So he also impacted, at least he rewhet my appetite for more study, because the brother all his life, he used to come to Lagos at that time. We'd be in a place they call Pedro. When he's around, he will tell me and Brother Sunday, I'm in town. And we'll go to see him. He's studying in the morning, he's studying in the evening, he's studying. Because only we say, to be a minister is not easy. You know? So all at one time or the other, I've learned pick one thing or the other from. I wouldn't say I have an official mentor. That's the truth, but I've picked a nice quality and habit from many servants of God and even congregation members.
All right, so the next question here is that people call you an apostle. So is this something you agree with? How did you know, if you agree with this, how did you know that you were called to be an apostle under Ephesians 4:11?
Yeah, God bless you. I think the prophet gave a counsel to some people who came to Christ. And they asked the prophet that now that we have come to the Lord, should we seek for our gifts, for our positions? And the prophet gave a counsel. He said it is God that orders man into his position. He said, if God has placed anything in your heart or in your life, he will witness it to you. And he will also reveal the position that you are to take in his body. Well, I will say I'm a beneficiary of that experience with God. But there are things you don't talk about. You allow it to speak for itself. And that will become a witness or a confirmation to you that really it is the Lord who has spoken. I have never told anybody in all my years of the ministry, which is you can conveniently put at how many years now? About 30 years. 31 years precisely. Going 32. I have never introduced myself to anyone as an apostle. That looks like a shot. I have never.
Wow.
But whatever the Lord placed in my life had always spoken by itself to the people, whether within or outside the country. Some will just listen and say, that brother is an apostle. Another will ask why. Say, the way he brings the word. He affects this, he affects this. He's just putting things in order. I said, you are just being shaded. You just know your position. I've had that countless of times. On few occasions, people have also called me a teacher. And they link it to also the way the word is brought. You understand? But you see, those two gifts have some sort of relationship.
That's right.
At some level. Anything that has to do with placing, establishing, and they will. But you see, I've been kept within this purview by the testimony of people. Now, don't make a mistake. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying people called me and I accepted. God witnessed it to me from the onset because I was one who prayed. When I settled the fact that I felt a call of God in my life. I was constantly asking God, what is my position? Where do you want me to fit in your body? And that came, he also spoke that to my heart. But these are words. I want to believe too, so for some reason, people don't know one side of me, and that's being shy. These are words I can't introduce myself, or you even ask me, and I tell you, I'll find a way to dodge it. I'm not sure there are people who will tell you that I've told them that. I introduce myself, or they ask me, and I'm even bold to say this. But when those testimonies started coming, well, it was a witness, in confirmation to what I believe I had. Then, some years ago, in 1998, God used me with some people who laid the foundations around those things to do something that really helped the body of Christ, and also fired their zeal, their desire, that with God indeed all things are possible. I may not be able to go into details because of time, but the saints, the brethren, had a very tough issue in Kaduna somewhere in 1998. And it led to the division, the complete separation, broken apart of the church. The church broke into two major parts, then few other several fragments. It was a mission of about 5 months.
Wow.
But the Lord was gracious that at the end of those periods, the body of Christ was brought back together.
Wow.
Then a lot of people started seeing that as a confirmation of what they have been observing in the life of this brother. So from there, a lot of people said that if it could happen in Kaduna, it can happen elsewhere. And for the next 1 or 2 years, I was traveling around the country with some other servants of God, helping churches who had been broken to come back together. And we achieved some good measured success and all those things. Some of which churches are still standing today, serving the Lord in their own way. So the Lord saw this in that regard. Among many other, what you can call characteristics of that ministry that we don't need to go into.
Thank you so much. Also on this note, I think personally I've also seen it, and some persons have attested to the fact that when you come to the platform to preach in conventions or other large gatherings, you come with just the Bible, and sometimes not even the spoken word book. So
I hope that's not an offense.
so we want to know, first of all, if this is true, and if it is true, how do you
do this?
Yeah, you're able to quote from the message by heart. Sometimes preach over an hour sermon from the Bible and then quoting the message without any notes. Personally, I've also witnessed your sermon. I think the first sermon of the year, where you just spoke from the Bible, and that was Exodus 23:20. My angel shall go before you. So without any no notes. So, and I think when Pastor Nelson from Kenya, when he was around, he also said something that also spurred this question in my heart. He said, "What degree do you have? Because you seem to have all the message in you." So we wanted to know how your study pattern is like.
You actually,
Yeah.
that was really secret of this
So
concept.
is it that you spend 24 hours
Oh, you're just a genius.
studying and studying and studying? So we wanted to hear from you.
God bless you, brethren. Now, you want to know the secret of the weakest preacher that is on earth today. I do not study as much as people think I do, but by the grace of God, I'm also not a lazy man in terms of the study of the word. And from the little tempo I gain, sometimes I even backslide and drop the tempo sometimes. I had to call for God's mercy and grace to take me through. People think I study very much. Well, maybe I don't know
Their definition of
their
study so much.
their level of parameters, or the extent to which.
the benchmarks.
But I just want you all to know that beyond study, I am a complete work of grace in terms of the ministry. Brother Bram said something. He said the greatest, or maybe one of the greatest things for a preacher is yielding. Maybe in a way, he has helped me to find that grace or that secret of surrender. Because some of the things you heard that seemed to bless you, they were not thoughts that I had a premonition of, or that I even if I didn't write anything down, like you've meditated upon, they just come on their own accord. You want to hear a secret today? Some things I learned myself while preaching. And it's the truth. I'm not fantasizing. I learned while preaching. That's why I say you want to know the secret of the weakest preacher that I know, which is me. But that is not to say maybe I don't study or I don't have references. For most of the things that I will say, I will direct, I said, go and check it. By God's grace, largely people have met it so. Maybe not exactly with the words, but you will see the context, the text, the construction, it's so. If you know me earlier, in my earlier ministry life, I was one of those who have this orientation and this life of everything you say, you must back it up with a spoken word coach. And I come with my coach to the pulpit. Even though it looks as if I've departed radically from there, I come with it and I read a lot of quotes. Because I learned one thing, Thankfully, you mentioned Pastor Nelson Kemboy of Kenya. Part of my experience in Kenya in the early time, as early as 2002, reinforced the need for me to make every statement and back it by the spoken word. Because when I went to Kenya, in some parts that we were, quite a lot, they made me travel a whole lot in Kenya. According to them, they said I must have done 60% of their country. I don't know. But both in Kenya and in Durban, South Africa, in 2005, they said, some of the ministers told me, well, meetings are over, just invited me to have a good time, just what do you call that, a reception, a banquet or something. They said some of the things you said look very odd. Not that it's contrary to the message, but they have not really even thought or looked at that. They said, but the reason we couldn't challenge it, why it becomes accepted and assimilated and responded well to, was because you were bringing it from the message. That they love that thing, that any statement this man makes, it brings out the quotation to back it. That how do you fight or contend with such a thing? So that reinforced it for me. And I was going, if you know me in those times, by 8, 12 spoken word books that we're going to go through in brothers. Then in the days when iPad came, I started using one since 2010 or somewhere there. The same thing, because we put them on it. Everything I do, my sermon notes sequentially arranged with quotes backing every line. That was my manner. But it came to a point. I didn't even know when they changed switch. I just realized that I will be preaching. The thing will be flowing, and I'll be refining. And I will even say, let's go, I will open the thing, but I will just continue on. And it becomes so difficult to struggle to even now reach or refer. So, over time, I just surrender. Because now it doesn't seem to make a difference, and it's still helping the people. So when I became puzzled in myself, something came to my heart. He said it is the word becoming flesh. Yeah. So when people ask me about this, I said, well, I think it's the word becoming flesh. Maybe gradually God is helping us to become the message that we are preaching. So even if we don't, since we all are eating this, even if we don't quote it, what is important is that the thing is in us. Because it is not the multitude of this that will carry, that will help us survive the squeeze. It is how much of it that we have become that have become us. I said, maybe God is helping me go through my own, because I can't tell you how the transition came. And within my heart, I still really love to. And that's why sometimes, if you observe us, I make conscious.
Yeah, so have the patience. I hope I have the patience.
Yeah, I hope I have the patience to finish it. I make conscious efforts to do it. But what I want to be thankful to God for is that whether we read it from here or we read it from the heart reservoir, we are bringing the same lesson. So I just think it's the way God has decided to move the face into. I can't explain it myself.
Thank you so much.